healing groom.
We'll go on the record in the matter of River Green Apartments versus Paisley Roster 2301884. And appearance, counsel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Attorney Elizabeth P. 82098 for the plaintiff.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Rossiter? Sorry, what? Okay,
Your Honor,
Ms. Rossiter?
Hold on, here. You're gonna have to go on there.
Hi, my phone shut off, so kick me out of there. I'm on here now.
Okay. All right, thank you. Your name, please, ma'am?
Paisley Rossiter, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I do apologize for your delay. We're still trying to figure this online.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so counsel, all right, you had an opportunity to speak to Ms. Rossiter in a breakout room, correct?
I did, Your Honor. If I just want to bring the court, we were here last week. She had indicated that she had lost her job as this is HUD housing, Your Honor, and she was to recertify. She did not recertify, so her balance is her balance, Your Honor. The balance is $2,454 in rent. There is court costs of $189. The total is $2,643. He has still, since last week, not completed the entire recertification. Your Honor, pursuant to MCR 4.201J2, there is no triable issue, Your Honor. She doesn't dispute the balance. She's just saying she lost her job and it should have been recalculated, but that is her responsibility to recalculate that, Your Honor. And to this day, it's still not recalculated. And we were here last week. The only thing she did was drop off a checklist and a social security card. We have no birth certificate. We have no, state assistance information. We have no information with regards to paying her bills. So that is what's required. And also within the lease that's required on how to recertify. So Your Honor, at this time, we're asking for a judgment because there is no triable issue of fact.
Your Honor, is it okay for me to speak?
Yes, but did you do what you were supposed to have done, ma'am?
I've been reaching out to Amazon. It's kind of tricky through them. I can't just walk in the job that I worked at and ask them for papers. They don't do that type of stuff there. They do that stuff online. So I've been waiting for them to reach out for me. And I have my mom and my goddad here to speak on my behalf. I've tried to send people. I've been having problems. I have my bipolar depression and anxiety, and then I've been having some postpartum depression going on, and I've had them try to go down and receive paperwork from me, which didn't have any of my information on it. And I gave her the okay that it's okay for them to come down there and get the paperwork from me. I've tried to recertify. And then when I called her the last time I brought up in court, she just cut me off and said she was going to evict me. I don't know how this stuff goes. I've sent them down there and she's refused them paperwork for me to recertify. And
Okay,
I tried to call.
Okay, hold on. If I recall correctly, is this the one where last week you said that since you're not working, you don't have to pay rent?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Correct, Your Honor.
So, did you just start working at Amazon?
No, I've been working there. My last rent that was paid was in May. I paid my rent in May. I stopped working there July 7th, but when I was on leave, they had me still put on leave, but I wasn't getting paid for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm waiting to receive that paperwork, which I will have turned in, and I could show you, I can email or, proof of.
Your Honor,
I have no idea. No. I cannot have anybody, excuse me, I cannot have anybody else talking. I don't have you identified for the record. So, ma'am, when did you begin working at Amazon?
August 25th of last year.
Okay, so you should have W-2s or something for tax purposes, right?
Online, yes.
So wouldn't that be sufficient or a starting point to get some of that information that's required?
In March, I sent her my information also when I started paying rent again, because I was on a leave and they weren't giving me money until my accommodation was approved.
And who's her?
The property manager.
Okay, who is the property manager, Miss Ellison?
Carol, she's right here. Carol, can you come to the screen for the judge? She's in my office, Your Honor. Bring your chair, please. Sorry.
Okay, Carol, can you please state your name for the record?
Carol Diver,
I'm sorry, can you please spell your first and last names?
CAROLEDIVER.
Okay. And have you had conversations with Ms. Rossiter at all?
On the 8th of September, I did. We came into the office and did a checklist, and the only thing she returned to me was a social security card on her son, and said she would be back with the rest of the verifications.
Okay, and what other verifications do you need?
Verification of her income. She gets public assistance, FIA. Verification of who's paying the bills, her income, her birth certificate on her son that she has not brought into the office as of yet, and I'm not sure how old he is.
Okay, so Ms. Rossiter, did you pay attention to all of those items that you need to submit?
Yes, I've been working on it, Your Honor. I turned in what I had.
Hold on, what does that mean? You've been working on it. What does that mean?
I've been making calls, and I have to borrow money from somebody today to get the birth certificate. I was supposed to get it Monday, but they ended up not having it to borrow to me, so I have to do it today.
How old is your child?
He's 5 months, Your Honor.
And you haven't obtained a birth certificate at all for him in the 5 months?
I haven't really had it, and like I said, I've been dealing with postpartum and my mental health issues that's been going on. And it's very hard to go down and speak with this lady. The way she talks to me and her body language, it triggers me. It really does. And so that's another reason why I've been having my mom and my goddad go down for me. It's not like I've been trying to avoid this situation. I've had people go down for me, and she's denied them to pick up any of my things, which it's not like it has my social security on there or anything. And I gave her the okay for my mom and my goddad to go down and help me.
Okay, Mr. Davis, you can't be driving while you're on Zoom, so can you please pull over, Mr. Davis? And so no, I don't need you. I don't need you to say anything on the record, please. I don't need you to say anything on the record. You're not identified. I just need you to please pull over and not be driving while you're on Zoom. Thank you. So, Ms. Rossiter, or actually, Ms. Diver, if Ms. Rossiter provides you with something in writing for somebody else to submit those documents on her behalf, or to get a list of what documents it needs to be, is that sufficient, or is that not permitted?
Answer the question.
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may, though.
I'm sorry, but answer yes as to which question. Is that permitted or is it not?
That would be permitted, but she has never come forward. This is the first I heard of this, that she has asked of this. We have a privacy act.
Your Honor, if I may.
Okay. Yes.
She did have a man drop off a checklist only. Your Honor, it was in June. But the note, my client wrote a note. She said, a man gave this to me on 6/5/23. And I explained to him that she needs to call the leasing office. I need more information. He said, okay. And she wrote at 11:16 a.m. So even if she's having people drop off things, it's still her responsibility to contact the office and recertify and check with my client to make sure everything's received. The checklist is not the only thing that's needed, Your Honor. My client then has to get the information, and they have to update it to the HUD website. And the HUD is ultimately who approves the rental decrease. With that being said, Your Honor, it hasn't been done. There is no guideline where it can be, retroactive to whatever date she's requesting or whatever date she no longer worked. So the rent is still due and accruing. So she owes that rent, and there's no adjustment under the HUD guidelines that would allow it to be retroactively adjusted, Your Honor. So the rent is the issue before the court is the rent is owed. Regardless if she's, unfortunately can't go and recertify, that's completely on her, Your Honor. That's a guideline for her to be able to reside there. Moreover, she didn't have electricity in July, so she's claiming she doesn't have income, but someone paid the electricity bill because it's back on, right?
The
So
state did. The state helped me pay that.
let 1% at a time.
Hold on, I can't have you interrupt me.
Excuse me.
Just one moment, you'll have an opportunity in just one moment.
So then if someone's helping her with bills, Your Honor, and diapers and all of that, there's a notarized document that has to be signed from those people that explains that. It's because that has to get uploaded to HUD. So none of that has been provided, Your Honor. As of this day, all we have is a social security number. And that unfortunately is not any information. She said she's at work, but we have no information. She said she gets paid assistance, but we don't have information. She has another kid. We don't know if she's getting child support for that kid. Previously, she wasn't, and she did provide that information. She's recertified a few times, Your Honor, so she knows the documentation that is needed to recertify. This isn't her first recertification, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Rossiter, you've recertified before?
Yes, and when I called her the month of June, she's saying I turned in the paperwork. She cut me off and said she was just going to evict me. So
Okay,
I don't understand.
time out. Listen, ma'am, I'm not going to get into a back and forth as to what was said, who had an attitude, who didn't. At the end of the day, there is documentation that you are required to submit for recertification. You haven't done it. You've recertified in the past, correct?
Yes.
So you know what's required.
Yes, but I don't know how this works. This is my first time being evicted from an apartment. So I didn't know if I was still supposed to do that or if I was still supposed to wait until eviction came. Until court came.
Ma'am, even if you're not living at this place, you're going to want to get some additional HUD housing somewhere else, correct?
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Your Honor?
Even if you are not staying at this location, even if you have to move, you're going to need assistance in getting additional housing. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So wouldn't you want to recertify to have that additional housing option ready to go?
Yes, Your Honor. Like I said, I've been dealing with postpartum and it's been a lot going on. I've tried to call her. There's been a lot of calls that weren't answered. And when I did talk to her, she cut me off. I tried to explain the situation to her. I barely even got to get a full sentence out. She just cut me off and said she's going to evict me. Okay, bye. And hung up. So.
Okay, ma'am. Let me just say this, okay? I can understand that you may be going through a lot. You have postpartum, some other issues. I can understand that. On the flip side of that, that is not something that the landlord has to incur unpaid rent and take that on. You've had since May to recertify, and you haven't done it. You have not done what is required to be done. There are individuals that are here on Zoom that I presume would be able to help you, get you to where you have to go, take you where you need to go, help you call, anything of that nature that you need assistance with so that you can get all of the documentation that is required for recertification.
Honestly, they have their own things going on too. They're not always able to be here 100% of the time when I need them.
Okay, I understand that, ma'am. I understand that. But part of adulting is getting all of your responsibilities and documentation where it needs to be. And that hasn't happened. And when were you here last? Was it last week or the week before or two?
It was last week, Your Honor.
Yes. And the court set this for a second hearing last week. Or last week we set it for a second hearing for today. And while I can understand it's tedious work and it may take a while, It has to be done, and it wasn't done. 2 of the, it sounds as though 7 items were submitted. There isn't any, and in addition to that, even if you had submitted all that documentation, council's correct, there isn't anything that would say that your assistance would be retroactive and cover the unpaid balance.
Your Honor, whenever I had a job and I wasn't able to make it down right away, I'd get a call and it would say, come down here so you can recertify. So I don't understand why it don't show in her system that I'm not working either.
Yeah, you said you're on
Just like
leave.
she'd be on top of me if I have a job. I don't understand why it's that. And I have another friend that lives here. She don't pick on like that. She's and then I've spoken to other people that are afraid to speak up on how this lady treats them. Like,
Okay, ma'am,
I'm not the only person.
Ma'am, I don't know what that's all about. That isn't something that's before the court today. The issue of whether you have a job or not, there's still an outstanding balance that would be due and owing, even if you were recertified today. It doesn't go retroactive. That is why the court doesn't have any other option but to enter a judgment.
I don't feel as if I owe $20,000. That's crazy.
You don't know how much?
I can agree to the month being old, but I barely worked that month. I only worked a week or 2 out of that month, and then I got fired.
Ma'am, your rental obligation is not based upon whether you're working or not working that month, or how much you're working or not working that month. Your rental obligation is your rental obligation.
I understand that, Your Honor, but how am I supposed to know if she didn't make that aware to me? She said she was just gonna evict me.
Excuse me, please don't interrupt. If you were getting housing assistance, and you needed to submit certain documentation for that assistance to continue, then you needed to submit that documentation. Your rental amount is your rental amount. Whether you're working or not, your rental amount obligation is still the rental amount obligation until your assistance that you receive from the state says otherwise. That isn't going to say otherwise because you have not submitted the proper documentation.
I tried to talk to her about it and she cut me off. So I didn't know if I was still supposed to do it, or when the way she cut me off, it's like, don't even worry about it. I'm going to evict you. So I didn't know it was I still had to turn into that stuff. I don't know how this stuff works. She didn't tell me you're still required to turn in the paperwork, but I'm going to file eviction still. I have no clue of that.
Ma'am, even if you're evicted, or even if you're not evicted, either way, there's still a past due amount that's owed that your assistance would not cover because you were not certified during that time. So, Ms. Ellison, what is the amount that you're indicating is due and owing?
I turned in the paperwork.
Your Honor, the rent due and owing is $2,454, and I can break down that for you if you'd like, Your Honor. It's not that.
Please do. Please do.
Your Honor, her last payment was May 2023, and at a 581 at that time, it left her a $30 balance on the ledger. So she had a $25 late fee for May, and then $581 is rent that was due and owing for June, July, August, and September. And there's been a $25 late fee for each of those months. And that is the amounts that we are requesting, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry, what's the amount for rent? 5 what?
81.
Okay, I thought I heard a different amount for the June, July, August, September. Okay. And so, ma'am, do you understand where that dollar amount comes from?
Not really, but I mean, I guess so.
Okay, so for the months of June, July, August, and September, your rental obligation was $581. That was not paid. So that total is $2,224 for those 4 months of rent.
Your Honor, 2,324. Unless my math is wrong.
What did I say?
2,224.
2,324. That's 2324, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at. I clearly said something different. You also owed a $50 balance from May's rent because $531 was paid instead of $581. So that now brings your total to $2,374. Then there was a $25 late fee for May, June, July, August, and September, which would be $125.
Actually, I didn't include the September one, Your Honor, because it's not on my ledger, so don't even include that September one. So just $100 in late fees.
$100, $2,474, which she's requesting, council's requesting $2,454, so you saved $20 today. Plus court costs.
Your Honor, I'm showing court costs are $189.
I'm sorry, what?
$189.
So the total is $2,643. So the court is going to indicate after hearing, plaintiff is entitled to recover possession of the property. The amount not due and owing for unpaid rent and other costs is $2,643.
Can we also talk about the?
I'm sorry, what?
I've been complaining about mice in the apartment for a minute now, and they only brought me 2 sticky traps and never called anybody out. And I've had to put money into mice traps on my own. I have a video if that's needed to.
Did you submit that request in writing or verbally to
Verbally.
the office? Okay, Ms. Diver,
Yes.
did Ms. Rossiter inform you regarding the mice?
Yes, she did about 3-4 months ago. We gave her some mice traps, and I did have Able do her building, Able Pest Control, and she never came forward and saying she still had a problem with them, so we just assumed it was taken care of. She did not call the office to let me know anything differently.
Okay, so Ms. Rossiter, did that take care of the problem?
No one ever came out and sprayed my apartment. So.
What do you mean nobody ever came out and sprayed your apartment?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
No one's ever came. All they gave me was 2 little sticky traps, and that was that. And then the AC that's 19 years old or something from what the maintenance guy say, that's broken down to where me and my son had to sit in this apartment, 93 degrees.
Did you communicate that to the office?
Yes. When it broke down, it kept breaking down. Then the guy said it was a really old one, and they're surprised that they didn't change it out. But I've had multiple problems with this AC too.
Ms. Diver, what about the air conditioning?
I have no idea what she is talking about.
Your Honor, I also would like to just add that we were here last week and none of these issues were brought up. It was just a recertification issue. Now we're at judgment, you're entering a judgment, and now we have this list of issues which we don't
I have a
any-
video of recent a mice climbing out of my stove.
Additionally, Your Honor, my client did ask for an inspection a few months ago and to see where the mice were coming from, and she declined the inspection, Your Honor. So I can't correct it if we're not allowed to come in. I mean, we don't know why we weren't allowed to come in. We're assuming it was because of the condition of the home at the time. We could do an annual inspection in July. That's when we found out that the electric was off and the house wasn't in the greatest condition. But again, Your Honor, this is just stuff just added to try to delay the process.
No, it's not. I promise it's not. It's been a problem, and I've been speaking about it. So.
Have you submitted anything in writing to the office?
When I spoke to a lawyer, that's when she told me I should have brought it up. I talked to a lawyer about 2-3 days ago. That's why this is getting brought up now. And she even brought up to me that this might be some discrimination going on. I didn't even tell her about nothing about the situation. I only told her about the situation that was going on. And she spoke about, do you think there's some racism going on or whatever? And I said, yeah, but I spoke with my mom about that, but she said that she don't think I should bring that up if nobody else is saying anything. But that was brought to me by a lawyer through legal aid.
Okay, and so is that lawyer going to be representing you, ma'am?
No, she said that they were going to try their best to represent me, but there's a lot of people that they're trying to get to, so they weren't able to come today.
Okay, so what does that mean? Are they going to be representing you and asking for an adjournment? Or are they not representing you? What does that mean, ma'am?
I'm still waiting to hear back from her. I talked to her 2-3 days ago. She said that they're going to try their best to get to my case, but there's a lot of people that they have to get to.
Okay, and who did you speak to?
I forgot the lady's name, but I can look for the number and give it to you.
Well, no, ma'am, I mean, I'm presuming if you spoke to an attorney that you wrote the name down.
I'm sorry, no. She wasn't the person that's supposed to be representing me. She was just getting information. She's supposed to be, well, she said she was gonna put my information into a couple different places so I could get help. And we also didn't talk about the harassment that's been going on either. So, but of course, she was going to tell me that it was.
Ma'am, you have not brought any of this up until this court was getting ready to enter a judgment against you.
No, I have it written down right here. I didn't even get to it.
Okay, you know what we're going to do, counsel? I'm going to have this judgment. I'm going to indicate that Ms. Rosser does know her rights. She knows her rights regarding legal representation. She's contacted legally. She doesn't have anybody representing her here today. The court's going to indicate that at the last hearing, that none of these issues were brought up. It was only the recertification issues that the court was talking about. And now, as the court is prepared to enter a judgment, now Ms. Rosser is making claims regarding living conditions and some alleged harassment. There isn't any documentation to that effect. However, she's making these claims. I'm going to allow her an opportunity to present those claims. So counsel, we're going to do an in-person hearing on September 22nd.
Your Honor, I would say you let her talk at length last week and nothing was brought up. She just kept talking about how she was depressed and she didn't pay her rent and she didn't update her income. So it's still not, none of those issues will change the fact of her lease requires those issues any habitability issues to be put in writing. My client has testified that nothing was put in writing. She did give her mice traps. The defendant agrees that she didn't contact them afterwards.
Your Honor.
Hold on, time out, counsel. I hear everything you're saying. I'm setting this for an in-person hearing so that Ms. Rossiter can present all of her claims that she has with supporting documentation. If there isn't any supporting documentation, the judgment will enter accordingly.
Understood, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the first time when I first came, I had a lawyer. The second time when I came, I thought I was going to have a lawyer then. I spoke to a lawyer this week. That's why these claims are being brought up. She said it was very important that I tell these things.
Ms. Rossiter, we're setting this for an in-person hearing. Next week is your time to present those claims. I'm not adjourning it any further. Next week is your time to present those claims.
Yes, Your Honor.
That does not negate your responsibility for continuing to work on submitting your documentation for recertification. And we'll set this for 10:45 a.m. Ms. Rossiter, you are required to submit your claims of what it is you're alleging not being fixed or what have you, the lack of communication or what you're alleging to Ms. Ellison so that she can respond appropriately. So she has knowledge as to what it is you're claiming. Just as though Ms. Ellison would have to submit anything to you that she would be presenting as evidence as well.
Can I get her phone number or some way I can contact her?
I am going to put the two of you in a breakout room when we're done here so that you can exchange contact information.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
No, Your Honor, the only thing I have is the ledger. I don't know if I mean, I'll bring a copy next week, but until I know what she's claiming, I'll have nothing to submit to rebut anything, because I'll just have my client bring the whole entire file. How about that? Next week to
Understand
the.
that, and I also understand that if nothing is sent to you, you don't know what to respond with. I understand that. That's why I just ordered Ms. Rossiter to submit that information to you. So I'm going to have the two of you go into a breakout room so that you can exchange contact information.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll see you next week at 10:45.
Thank you. That's breakout room 1. So I'll take you back.
Scream box.
Hard get told. I can't get no sleep, please make my life no simple. Miles inside these shoes, so I don't stop my tiptoe.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Ma'am? Ma'am? Can you hear it?
No.
Okay.
I have no patience for that. And trust me, at the end of the day, I'm sitting up here, I'm the one that needs the drink.